There are two different types of factoring trinomials. The first thing we need to remember when we're factoring a trinomial is that standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. When there is no number in front of x squared, or so it appears, we need to be sure that we remember there's actually a 1 there. 1 times x squared. But because 1 times anything is always itself, we don't need to show it. So our first step here when we're factoring trinomials, when a is 1, is we need to look for maybe what we can call magic numbers. We need to find two numbers that multiply together to give us 12, our c term. See, that's what I'm doing right here. I'm going to look for two numbers that multiply together to give me c. I'm just going to do some rough work down below. So 1 times 12 equals 12. I can also do 4 times 3 equals 12, and 6 times 2. So those are all of my factors that equal c. Now I need to take these factors and figure out which combination will add together to give me my b term. And what we can see right away at a quick glance is that my 4 times 3, if we added those together, we get 7. So those are our magic numbers that we're going to put in our brackets up here. So we write x plus 4, our first factor, close our brackets, and then write it again, x plus 3. And that is trinomial factored when a is equal to 1. So we start the process again for our second example. I now need two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 10. I have to include that negative, and afterwards those same numbers are going to have to multiply to be negative 3. So if you need to, you can always do some rough work on a scrap piece of paper down below. So what I look at first is negative 5. I had negative 5 multiplied by positive 2. That equals negative 10. And then I check to see if the addition of it works as well. Negative 5 plus 2 equals negative 3, our b term. So those will be our numbers that we can use in our brackets. So our first one is x minus 5 and x plus 2. I'm just going to clean up some of our scrap work down below so that I can show you how you can always check your solution to be sure that you've done it correctly. So if we rewrite our solution, x minus 5 and x plus 2, if we FOIL that, if we expand it, we should get back to the original equation if done properly. Remember then to FOIL is to do x times x, and then x times 2, negative 5 times x, and negative 5 times positive 2. So x times x is x squared. X times positive 2 is plus 2x. Minus 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. We gather our like terms, and then we check to see that it looks like our original equation. And it is the exact same, so we know that we've done it correctly. So it's important to realize that factoring is just the opposite of expanding, and expanding is the opposite of factoring. So let's try one last equation here. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 42, and those same two numbers are going to add to be negative 1. Keeping in mind that when there's no number in front of that x, we have to remember that that was negative 1. So our combination of numbers that work is negative 7 and positive 6. And then we can just write it nice and easy in our brackets. And again, you can always check your work to see that it's done correctly.